It's a pleasure to have you join us on NTA International News at this time. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Let's begin with the headlines. Federal government urges religious leaders to eschew messages of disharmony. More countries impose travel restriction from United Kingdom as new strain of COVID-19 rages. Plus, Nigerian Medical Association calls for caution as COVID-19 kills 20 doctors in 1 week. All right, the federal government has urged religious leaders in the country to refrain from stoking the embers of hatred and disunity, warning that resorting to scorching earth rhetoric at this time could trigger unintended consequences. A statement issued by the Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, says religious leaders have a responsibility to speak truth to power, and such truth must not come wrapped in anger, hatred, disunity, and religious disharmony. He said it is particularly graceless and impious for any religious leader to use the period of Christmas, which is a season of peace, to stoke the embers of hatred, sectarian strife, and national disunity. Lai Mohammed noted that calling for a violent overthrow of a democratically elected government, no matter how disguised such a call is, and casting a particular region or religion as violence is not what any religious leader should engage in, and certainly not at a season of peace. Meanwhile, the BUHARI media organization, BMO, has expressed disappointment and condemnation of the sermon delivered by Bishop Matthew Kuka on Christmas Day 2020, where he made unfounded allegations against President Muhammadu Buhari and also made subtle calls for a coup in the country. The group, in a statement signed by its chairman, Ni Akinsiju, and Secretary Cassidy Madwike, noted that this was not the first time the Catholic bishop had used the pulpit to sow division, discord, and fuel an agenda of anarchy. The BMO stated that the sermon delivered by Bishop Kuka on Christmas Day was a contrast against the spirit and message of the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. The relevance of Boxing Day is to actualize the essence of Christmas, which entails the exchange of gifts. However, the age-long practice of sharing freebies was not prevalent in Lagos this year, as most residents stayed indoors in compliance with the advisories on general conduct for preventing COVID-19. Michael Olale reports on the mood of the megacity on Boxing Day.
Having celebrated several festivities in the COVID-19 era of 2020, Christmas and Boxing Day came with a lot of practice on how to celebrate in a rather subtle manner. Lagos, a city popular for conviviality, thus earning the slogan "A call for show," sort of excused the flair and the beauty synonymous with the Yutai. Notable fun locations are still struggling to pick up the vibe. Even on a day like this, which in previous years featured exchange of gifts among family and friends, residents were more committed to observing the COVID-19 protocols for safety, which presupposes a reduced level of interaction.
So many people are actually scared, so they try to stay indoor. And even today, Boxing Day used to be boom, you understand, fun everywhere, parties and all that. But now it's just like in the normal usual day.
Because of this COVID-19 spoiled so many things for us, but we manage ourselves to say, okay, let us just do it the way we believe God will help us.
Some innovative minds, however, explored the possibility of exchanging gifts virtually. Precisely this time last year, Roland received more than 4 different gift items, but currently is yet to open any package. Although still expectant, he is mindful that life is sacrosanct and must be preserved by applying caution. In other words, observing all COVID-19 preventive guidelines.
Your loved ones, you can't really do with them, play with them the way you used to, without nose mask, you know. We just have to forge ahead, because COVID has come to stay.
The uniqueness of the 2020 Boxing Day in Lagos is that people are obviously in tune with government's advice on urgency to limit socializing. This is evident on major roads which are practically deserted. In Lagos, Michael Lale, NTA News.
Cross River State has carved a niche for itself as a tourism hub with its Calabar Carnival, which offers visitors a once-in-a-lifetime Christmas experience every year. The story of Christmas in Calabar this year is expectedly different, no thanks to the coronavirus pandemic, which has caused residents to celebrate the Yuletide without the fanfare and ambience that accompanies the annual fiesta. As the Cross River State government cancels the carnival to avoid the spread of the disease, Justina Etim takes a look at Christmas without the Calabar Carnival.
For the past 15 years, Cross River State has been on the global stage of tourism, displaying her rich culture and sites. One of the high points of the state's Christmas ritual is the Carnival Calabar, which features annually. This glitz, glamour, razzmatazz and street funfair will not hold this Christmas, the first time in 15 years since inception, and this is due obviously to the COVID-19 pandemic. This development means a lot to different people. To some, Christmas is without its pomp.
The town is not totally dead. You know, there are a lot of activities lined up even by individuals to fill in the gap. A lot of people are going to feel the absence of carnival at this particular time, but it's also necessary for our health.
What are expectations from fun seekers this Christmas?
Like now, we have kidnapping and all that. I'm so happy that the carnival will not hold because so that all those things will not be taking place.
Socially, a lot of gatherings, people come around to meet and all that. I think that the impact will be felt. It will be a kind of slow Christmas in Calabar.
The carnival offers a unique blend of leisure and business while boosting the state's economy.
The government of Cross River State loves Cross Riverans, we love Nigerians, and indeed everyone who comes from all across the world to celebrate with us. And that's why we're putting a hold to the Calabar Carnival this year.
We're known for celebration, especially when it comes to December period. So we have pockets of events here and there. Like you see, there's so much spacing here. You know, it's a small arena though, but it can only cater for just a few people.
Pieces of advice from well-meaning individuals are calling for strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols from all and sundry as the celebration continues. In Calabar, Justina Etim, NTA News.
And as Christians the world over mark this year's Christmas celebration, Muslim leaders in Imo State have admonished them to use the period to pray for peace and progress in the country. Faith Igwilo, who spoke with some of the clerics in Owerri, has details.
Christmas no doubt affords people the opportunity to share love and good wishes. It is in line with this that Muslim leaders in Imo State are felicitating with the Christian faithful, both in the state and the country at large, on the 2020 Christmas celebration. They admonish them not to use the celebration as just a period of merriment, but should more importantly see it as a time to pray for unity of the country, peaceful coexistence, and the grace to overcome the prevailing security challenges.
I want to use this opportunity to call to our brothers to embrace peace, because peace is the most important thing. Without peace, we will not live better. We need brotherliness in our nation, and we are supposed to be one as one people.
I wish them well all over the world, in Nigeria and particularly in my state. This is the time to remember your neighbors, those that Allah has not blessed with much, so that they could also feel the impact of the celebration.
The clerics also used the opportunity to appeal to Nigerians to adhere strictly to the COVID-19 safety rules in view of the resurgence of the virus, even as they celebrate the end of the year festivities.
Pray for the nation,
our state, for yourself in the face of this pandemic, corona. And I wish you a happy celebration. God bless.
Christmas celebration is an annual event used by Christians to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ. In Owerri, Faith Igwilo, NTA News.
In other news now, and vulnerable members of the society, especially those living with disabilities, can attain their full potentials and contribute meaningfully to the socio-economic development of any community if properly cared for and given an enabling environment. This is the position of some medical experts under the auspices of the Association of Resident Doctors, UUTH, who reached out to children with special needs at the Special Education Center Uyo with various packages. More on this from Ifoma Ahioji.
This center is special indeed. It runs an inclusive educational system that accommodates both the blind, deaf and other children with mental and physical disabilities. Some of these children are abandoned here due to their predicament, which is really not of their own making. Well, a glimpse of hope came to them as the Association of Resident Doctors of the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital embarked on a free and specialized healthcare program to the school.
It's an initiative whereby we harness all the special skills and expertise among our rank for the good of society. And so we have brought this outreach to this particular school.
And decided to get the basic things like the braille papers, have them audiometry so that those who need hearing aids, we can see how we can procure those for the children and then get basic drugs.
For these medics, most of who are visiting the center for the first time, the medical outreach is birthing a long-term program to touch more lives in the center.
We tend to identify some of the those with hearing impairments for audiometry in the teaching hospital, and those who are actually qualifying for hearing aids will go out and source for how to procure these to reduce the disability and improve the quality of life.
So it will help us to manage emergency cases that we have here. So they donated it to our clinic and we thank all of them.
Coming to see them, feeling their pains, touching them the way they are and recommending solutions to their problems. It's a great thing.
The doctors emphasize the need for well-meaning individuals and non-governmental organizations to give these ones the needed care for a fulfilled future. In Uyo, Ifoma Ahioji, NTA News.
Now, dozens of countries have banned travel from the United Kingdom in an effort to contain a new COVID-19 variant first reported in England, as Pfizer and Moderna continue to test their vaccines against the strain. Also, Brexit deal trade agreement text published as Boris Johnson admits devil is in the detail. Justin Bemuni will bring us up to speed with some trending news around the globe.
Spain and Sweden have confirmed cases of the more contagious coronavirus variant recently identified in the UK, the latest European countries to do so. The infections were linked to people who had returned from the UK. France, Denmark, the Netherlands, Italy and Germany, as well as other places outside Europe, have also reported cases in the past few days. Consequently, the U.S. government will require all airline passengers arriving from the United Kingdom to test negative for COVID-19 within 72 hours of departure starting Monday, amid concerns about a new coronavirus variant that may be more transmissible. Similarly, the government of South Korea says the country will require additional coronavirus tests for travelers from South Africa before they can be released from 14-day mandatory quarantine upon arrival in the country. And now for the numbers. Global confirmed cases of the virus now surpass 80 million, with Nigeria recording 82,747. In other news, 3 UN peacekeepers have been killed in the Central African Republic as tensions flare between government and rebel forces. The UN said unidentified combatants carried out 2 attacks, leaving 2 other peacekeepers injured. The group were stationed in the country to quell violence ahead of presidential and parliamentary elections on Sunday. President Faustin Archange Touadera has accused his predecessor, Francois Bozize, of fomenting a coup with rebel groups. Let's now go to the UK, where the post-Brexit trade deal signed between the EU and UK is coming under scrutiny from pro-European and Eurosceptic groups keen to learn what the agreement will mean for both sides after a draft was published on Boxing Day. Boris Johnson has said the devil is in the detail, but insisted it would stand up to inspection from the European Research Group of Brexiteers, who will assemble a panel of lawyers to examine the 1,246-page text. However, Lord Ricketts, the former National Security Advisor, warned that security and justice cooperation will be slower and more clunky than under EU membership, and that the UK will have a more arm's-length role in Europol. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
You are watching the news on NTA International. More stories after this break. Do stay with us.
The Counsel of Our Fathers.
Action of the protests by criminals have resulted into violence, destruction of government and private properties, criminal release of prisoners, and the lynching and burning of policemen and some innocent persons. These developments is causing serious concern to all of us, and if care is not taken, it might lead the country to a point of no return.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. Live more.
Thanks for remaining with NTA International. Now joining us via Zoom to talk about the Brexit deal is Bishop Dr. Imai Song, an economy and financial expert. He is also the chairman Cross River Anti-Tax Agency. You're very welcome to NTA International Studios, or from Skype rather.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my pleasure. Compliments of the season.
And same to you. All right, the Brexit trade and security deal finalized on Christmas Eve runs to 2,000 pages, including annexes. It will enter into force once approved by both sides. What is the deal now on tariffs, trade, and fisheries, among others?
The Brexit deal has been very interesting. You can see it's been dragging for a long time, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel due to what happened pre-Christmas. Whatever goes on, you know, the Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, has already said that is the price of Britain claiming back their sovereignty and also having control over the UK fishing waters. So right now in the deal, you're going to find some 6 to 12 aeronautical miles given to EU vessels before they will fish around the UK waters. You're going to also have new tariffs, possibly with compliance to the World Trade Organization standards. You're going to also have difficulties in the UK businesses is as usual, because here going to have to deal with a lot of bottlenecks. Pros or cons will have to sit up and at the end of this deal to look at something very different.
All right, cross-border police investigations and law enforcement can continue with agreements that the UK can remain in key exchange programs, but will no longer be part of the European arrest warrant system and other things. What do you make of this?
That's a very intelligent question, Dennis. You know that the Brexit deal, people have been looking only at the economic aspect, only at the commercial aspect. People are thinking and talking about Brexit as if it's only business deal. What we forget to deal with is that it's going to tell much on the British policing and enforcement. They're excited they're going to be out of the EU jurisdiction, the Court of Justice. But how about the fact that the EU owns and runs the Schengen database, the biggest database, which the UK have been benefiting. Of course, in the area of the trailing criminal elements, you are going to find the UK having difficult to extradite key criminal elements, because sometime in a year, the UK extradites up to 1,000 criminals. And of the EU too, they also return back major criminals back to the UK. That is going to really be difficult now, because the UK will not be sharing in that database. Don't forget the key point in the security is information sharing, and so they have got to deal with that concerning this.
All right, lastly, Bishop, what's with this deal now, when are we expected to see its complete implementation?
Well, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson have indicated that the Parliament should be back. They have been recalled on the 30th of this month because, as you can see, there's no time. And so, by the grace of God, if the majority leader, the Labour leader, Mr. Starmer himself, if he can key into what is happening on the table, they should be able to have a deal on 30th so as to be able to beat the deadline of December 31st, which has been the deadline for this session period.
All right.
By God's grace, all said and done, all things being equal, you'll have that.
Absolutely. All right, Bishop Dr. Imai Song, economy and financial expert and chairman Cross River Anti-Tax Agency. Many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on NTA International.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, on to other news now. And the Nigeria Medical Association, FCT chapter, has called on the general public to adhere to the coronavirus preventive guidelines and urged governments to play their role in the battle against the virus, as not less than 20 doctors have been lost to COVID-19 in the last 1 week. Chairman of the association, Dr. Enema Amodu, stressed this while briefing members of the press in Abuja. Hakimat Aliu reports.
The world is currently faced with the second wave of coronavirus, which is even more catastrophic. Acknowledging this, Dr. Emena Amodu, Chairman Nigerian Medical Association FCT chapter, expresses disappointment that people still go about disregarding the protocols.
For those of us in the health sector, we've lost quite a number of colleagues in the last 1 week alone. I'm here to solidarize first with the families of our members that have lost loved ones. We want to make it public. We want to shout it from the rooftop that we are with you in this very trying, very grieving moment of sadness over the loss of our colleagues.
While appealing to patients coming into the hospitals to always comply, not to put the health workers at risk, he also used the medium to request that government expedite action towards implementing the new hazard allowance away from the usual 5,000 naira.
We hope that the government in the incoming year will start off the new year with a reviewed hazard allowance. But I'm not oblivious of the processes for it to be gazetted and captured in our salaries and wages. We need this show of solidarity from the government because the virus is still very much with us. But we are still working.
The Nigerian Medical Association assured FCT residents that its members are bound to their oath and combat ready to save lives, either from COVID-19 or any medical emergencies. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has saluted the sacrifices of 20 doctors reportedly killed by COVID-19, saying the welfare of doctors is a priority for his government. The president has sent his condolence to the Nigerian Medical Association over the death of the doctors due to the pandemic. According to the president, quote, "Our health workers are making maximum sacrifices for the country in line with their humanitarian calling, and this administration will leave no stone unturned in order to ensure their needs are met," end of quote. He said no reward is too much for the sacrifices of health workers in the country, and this administration will give their welfare the priority it deserves. Meanwhile, the president has also expressed his sadness over the demise of the Galadiman Lokoja Chief Godwin Ajakpo and the chairman of Pan Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, Air Commodore Idon Gesit Nkanga, retired, a former military governor. Two state governors, Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State and Abubakar Bagudu of Kebbi State, as well as the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, have received special birthday greetings from President Muhammadu Buhari, describing them as superheroes of the nation's democracy. While wishing the celebrants good health and happiness, the president said his administration will continue working closely with all of them to further strengthen the governing All Progressives Congress and Nigeria's democratic enterprise. President Buhari urges them to continue with their commitment to the service of the people, as the nation expects much more from their generation. In a statement signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, the president wishes them many happy returns. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has described the shocking death of veteran film producer Chiko Ejiro as a huge blow to the nation's creative industry in general and to Nollywood in particular. In a statement signed by Special Assistant to the Minister, Segun Adeyemi, the Minister expresses his condolences to the family and friends of the deceased and indeed to the entire creative industry, describing the late Ejiro as a prolific movie director and a shining star of Nollywood, which has, through its movies, stamped Nigeria's creative presence all over the world. Lai Mohammed urges Mr. Ejiro's family and friends to take solace in the fact that his legacy will live on through the excellent works of the actors and actresses he helped to nurture over the years, and indeed in the progressive success of Nollywood. Thanks to the pace-setting work of Mr. Ejiro and his contemporaries, Nollywood is today one of the biggest movie industries in the world. And on that note, we conclude the news on NTA International at this time. Many thanks for watching. Do remember to connect with the NTA and stand against rape and rapists. I am Dennis at Digunloy. Thank you for watching.